Chancellor Merkel's legacy and the incredible impact that you have had on Germany, on Europe and indeed on the world. And your work on climate change has been at the heart of that achievement. You presided over the very first COP more than a quarter of a century ago, and I hadn't remembered that you were, of course, the driving force behind the great leap forward that was the Kyoto Protocol. You created this now venerable institution in the climate calendar, an event that has consistently elevated climate to the top of ministerial in-trays. And that is very important right now because, as Fenya says, we can't allow action on climate change to become another victim of this appalling pandemic. This will be the decade in which we either rise up and tackle climate change together, or else we sink together into the mire. And this year at COP26 will be the moment at which the world chooses which of those two fates awaits us. But while the solution to our climate conundrum is on the surface of it simple, let's achieve net zero and limit the rise in global temperature to 1.5 degrees, the complex nature of international diplomacy is such that we can't just expect to make progress or hope to make progress in the 10 days of talks this November. The stakes are too high for COP26 to become some kind of last-minute dash to the line. And so it's absolutely vital that when we have time, we should spend the next 6 months productively untangling those knots and unblocking some of the stickiest issues. And if we do the hard miles now, I hope that in November we can meet in person in Glasgow to hammer out the final details of what must be an era-defining outcome for our planet and for future generations. And as hosts of COP26, we in the UK have a responsibility, of course, to make that happen. So throughout this year, Alok and I are pulling every lever, using every opportunity to make COP the success it needs to be. And that, of course, includes next month's G7 summit at Carbis Bay, where leaders of the world's biggest economies will be coming together in person, face to face, for the first time in far too long, and climate change will be right at the heart of the agenda. For one thing, I can tell you the meeting itself will be completely carbon neutral. But more significantly, it will be the first G7 at which every member has committed to hitting net zero by 2050, though in Angela's case, in Germany's case now, 2045. Congratulations to you on your drive and your ambition. That's great news for our planet and shows us as G7 leading by example. But in Cornwall, I want to see much more. I will be seeking commitments from the G7 members to use their voices and their votes wherever and whenever possible to support the transition to net zero, kickstart a green industrial